Hi everyone. Welcome back. We are here to continue chapter something for the escape. It's been a while, a couple weeks. I took a break from solo RPGs for a while because of the holidays and family stuff and work related, etc. Did a couple of videos here and there, Seagal, AI, RPG, story time kind of thing. An edited YouTube P video for fun. But anywho, I'm back. I took a break just to help me refresh my interest in RPGs. And uh, with that being said, a few changes as usual. So the challenge will be we have our character sheet here open. I'm going to be following as usual Cairn lightly, not by the book, but we'll use the elements of the character sheet because I still love the character sheet. It's fantastic design. Design's fantastic. I got my physical dice here this time in front of me. But this time I was getting kind of tired of using the actual traditional tabletop board. And I will be using a virtual board. What we'll try to do is, what's the term? Theater of the mind. We'll fabricate it. I will work on my storytelling skills or my dungeon master skills, my attempt. This video will serve as a starter for me to improve myself when it comes to my storytelling abilities. Because with the issues I have with communication and my, let's just say, hurdles I have to jump, but this will be a great chance for me to improve my potential DMing skills, storytelling skills, and to work on this universe for the escape. Now, I welcome criticism, comments, etc. That's totally fine. I'm not expecting this to be perfect. Far from it. But my goal will be to map out, to detail the world around Loomer, who we left off. He was in a open courtyard, and as you recall, if you've been following along, he has been, or he approached a couple of mysterious individual rooms that consisted of very unique visuals. The first one was a small room with an open pathway, an open entry point, and he saw a pool of blood with a dead animal carcass kind of off to the side. So that room represented some form of a sacrifice. So he continued on. Due to my bad note-taking skills, I don't recall if he stumbled onto a green room of sorts. But essentially the second room that Loomer stumbled upon, was a slightly larger, wider, rectangular shaped room surrounded by concrete as they all are. And he noticed that this room is very I'm sorry, this room is the same size as the last room. Uh, this is the second room. It was very refreshing. There was a bluish tone to the room itself. There was a glow, and in front of them there was like the other room where there was a pool of blood. This room had a pool of water, crystal clear water. And then a spirit appeared and spoke to our character, Loomer. He proceeded to inform Loomer that he was the guardian of the Clear. So this room he was in was called the Clear. And he basically refreshed Loomer's specs, refreshed his stats, his health. He rejuvenated him. And now Loomer feels refreshed. There was also a sense of emotion, and not only physically healed him, but mentally it did. Loomer's been exhausted from the past conflicts we've had with bandits and goblins, allies. So now Loomer is standing outside of that room of the clear, and the Guardian vanished. He disappeared. And now Loomer is at a standstill where he has that feeling. We rolled, I believe, for he senses that he's being watched from a distance by an unknown, by a something unknown to him. Could be magic, could be a being, but he just has that inkling that he's being watched from a distance. And all he can see now is the open courtyard in front of him. To his left, to his immediate left, is a hallway that goes on to what appears forever. It's, it gets darker and darker from where he's standing. Above him is an open ceiling. So we're outside in the courtyard of this fortress, this fortified camp of sorts, and the open ceiling. Still daytime. He hears the he hears the ambience from the outside, nature, birds, etc. But ahead of him, he sees a wall to his left. It's a slightly wider size from the room behind him, the clear. We didn't get the name of the room to our original room that the blood, the sacrifice room, we can call it a nickname, but we never actually spoke to any spirit in there. We never actually investigated it thoroughly to conjure or to basically trigger some trap or spirit to appear like the clear did. So now it Loomer is interested in walking basically straight ahead. So proceeds on, and then he sees a similar opening to another room. Now, this room, I've already preset it in my mind. Uh, it's a very ominous feel to it. It's green. There's a very dark green hue to the room. And when he peeks inside, he sees a similar setup to the clear. It's surrounded on the outside. The outlining of the room is a walkway, but within that is vegetation. There's tall grass. The room is very dark, gloomy green, and let's roll. Let's do our first solo roll for today. Nothing off the sheet. This is off the story building. We're gonna roll a single 20. Depending on the value of this roll, the higher it means the more peaceful it feels. The lower, the more mysterious it seems to Loomer. I even shook it a bit. I rolled a critical one. So, one is deeply concerning, very mysterious, and even potentially dangerous. Limmer has that feeling right off at the bat, the minute he steps underneath the entryway. He doesn't go inside the room. He doesn't proceed in because he has that something stopped him. Like he has this really urgent feeling, this real I should say cautious approach to this room. But let's say, does he smell anything of interest? Now I'm rolling two. Red represents no. 20 the lighter die. I have two die. Red is no. Clear is yes. That just helps me uh, differentiate them. Okay. So does I want to get the senses going here. Does Loomer smell anything coming from this room? Because he sees vegetation, so he's going to assume there's a smell. Okay, so I rolled a 17 for no and 7 for yes. So that's a strong no. He doesn't smell much at all. Very, very tiny, faint smell of the grass. So it's very, very just faint because is okay roll, but 17 was very strong roll. So we're going to give it some leeway and say he expectedly smells something of grass, but it's so faint, he's surprised that's not stronger than that. Which he then, based on his experience as an assassin, kind of, he's been around the block a lot. He has a feeling that this grass he sees, this tall grass, the grass is maybe up to his neck if you're comparing it to his height. And he is a short person, so let's say it's probably 4 feet, 4.5 feet tall, which is pretty tall grass. He thinks, much like the guardian of the clear room he was just in, that this grass is not real. This is a could be an illusion, could be magic. Maybe it is grass, but it's not actually there. It's just a displacement in reality. Several possibilities are running through Loomer's head right now, and he's questioning what he sees because the smell he expected to be a lot stronger. Now, while he has his back turned to the courtyard, and he's in the entryway of this green room, we keep calling it, and there's no drugs in it, no weed. Let's roll to see if anything happens behind him. So, does anything happen to Loomer behind him? Oh, okay. So this is interesting. 18 yes, 17 no. They're both strong. How to decipher that? 18 yes, 17 no. It's a 1 point difference. He has a very faint feeling behind him, almost like a shoulder tap. He feels a touch on his back left shoulder. It spooks him for a bit. He turns around, and because we rolled a just a 1 point difference, he sees another room, and it's exact opposite of what we're looking at from the green room. Exact opposite placement. It's on the other side of the courtyard, and he sees a similar size exterior with the same size pathway, entry point into a possible room. So because he felt a tap on her shoulder, there is nothing actually there because the no was so close. That's how I'm going to decipher that roll. So because he's already turned his back against the green room, and he's now looking at another potential room, can Loomer see anything from his current distance? Let's say he's about 20 or so feet away, 35 feet away. Can Loomer see what is, can he see through, let's roll for this. Can he see through the entryway to the other room? No, he can't. Okay, so 17 no, 3 yeah, 3 yes. He can't. He can't see it at all. He barely sees even the shadow from the doorway. All he sees is a shape of a room, so it's a little blurry to him. It's some distance because that was such a very strong no and a weak yes. I'm gonna say it was his vision's very blurry in the distance. There's a lot of strange fog starts to suddenly appear. It's like a grayish. It's fog. It's starting to seep out from his from his peripheral vision, and starts to approach him slowly. So he's not understanding that there's something happening in front of him. There's something there. And let's roll. Does he hear anything out of the ordinary? Let's see. 9, yes. 12, no. He doesn't hear anything coming from the sudden appearance of fog in front of him. But now he still hasn't forgotten about the green room. So with this sudden event of fog approaching him, which is nothing really that seemingly dangerous, but he still has this mysterious green room behind him. So he turns around, but he keeps his body partial. He's keeping himself aware of the courtyard with the fog now, but he's also keeping half of himself aware of the green room. Because he still has this curiosity to he's still curious about what's going on in the green room. So he looks back in the green room, Has anything changed in the green room since he turned away? No, nothing's. Well, okay, 16, no, 13, yes. Nothing's changed, but he has a different feeling now. Before it was very dangerous and kept him away from really entering the actual room. But now let's roll to see the. Okay, sorry about that. Um, let's roll to see what has changed. Highest number is favorable. Lowest number is not so favorable. 9. Okay, so things have changed. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's no, that's 6. Sorry. 6. Something has changed. Not severely, but things seem slightly more favorable for Loomer in this room. He still wants to enter the room. And because I rolled a 6, let's say he takes his first step into the room. And when he takes a step, does anything suddenly happen around him? 9. Okay, 9, no. Sorry, 9, yes, 17, no. I keep rolling 17 with no. Let's re-roll that. I'm sorry, that doesn't seem right. 15, still 4, yes. 15, no. Nothing's really changed there. Okay, nothing's really changed. Like, visually. The grass is still there. There's still the ominous greenish hue to the room. But now he's actually in it. So he takes his first step. He's looking around. He's still kind of, he has this. He's half-half. He's looking into the room. He's looking back outside. He still sees the fog, but he's noticing a change in hue in his vision. So when he's in the actual green room, his vision's being impaired by the green hue, essentially. So now the courtyard is becoming blurrier, and the fog is getting far more intense. So he's looking in the green, and he realizes he's probably stuck now, possibly. Now, with him being fully inside the green room, let's roll to see if anything happens to him. Yes, so I rolled a 10, yes, 3, no. Something, okay, that's not like a dangerous yes. That's like something that happens to him. It's a good yes, but still not a high yes. Weak no. He suddenly freezes in his position, and he starts to hear a rumbling, a low tone, some kind of strange sound. He's looking around, and the green hue gets dense. The grass starts to kind of sway when there's wind. It starts to move. And he's thinking that this room is connected to the last room. The last room was water. This room is grass. It has to do with the elements, essentially. So he's realizing that possibly each one of these rooms represents some kind of magical element in this area and in this fortress. It's connected to the fortress possibly, or something he stumbled upon. Like it's abandoned. Well, it was abandoned, but he obviously discovered something more thoroughly. So he's getting a little curious. He's gonna walk up to the grass. He's about a couple steps away from the grass itself. It's where he's looking right over. He can see over the grass clearing. There's nothing really in his peripheral vision or anything in his sights that pose a threat to him because that role wasn't too dominant. So all he sees is grass, a green tone, and then that very, very faint smell of grass. So he reaches his hand out and he's going to touch the grass. Does anything happen to him when he touches the grass? Let's roll for this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I rolled a 7, no, 20 solid yes. So I rolled a critical 20. Something very significant happens. Because it's going to be favorable, but when he touches the grass, he hears a loud voice. And the grass starts to uh, lower in size. It starts to go back down to the ground. It basically seeps back into the ground. The room goes from that dark, gloomy green to a bright white glow, and the ground starts to shake. He triggered something. The smell of the grass is gone. The smell of the grass is gone. And now he realized he did something. Now, done he fucked up? That's questionable. With these events happening in front of him, let's roll to see if something happens after the grass basically disappears in front of his eyes. So 6 yes, 13 no. With the grass going down, within that moment, nothing happens. The room stops, freezes. Not like freezes ice, but like time freezes, pauses around him. There's no sound. He doesn't hear anything. He heard a rumbling. The ground was shaking. Grass subsided, and now the room is white. He triggered something. He's looking around, and he's looking around the room. Does he see anything around the room? Let's roll for it. 14. Wow. Okay, I rolled an equal 14 for both. Yes or no? That's a tie. Nothing's changed. Because I mean, that's a somewhat strong yes or no, but nothing's changed. And because of that, he's going to look back outside. And has anything outside changed? 7, 13. So 7 yes, 13 no. Nothing's changed outside. It's still dense fog. He can still, he just sees the fog. It's dense, and it's very blurry to him in the distance. He can't see past the fog because of low visibility. So with his head turned to the left, because he looked away from the room he was already in. Let's roll to see if anything happens. Let's see. 11, yep, something does happen, but a very weak 11 yes, 10 no. Once again, he feels a very small tap on his shoulder, but this time it's right shoulder. He suddenly turns back around. That's a very, very faint tap. And because it was a very weak yes, nothing, he doesn't see anything. He just felt the tap. Someone is messing with him at this point, and he realizes that. He says, "Is it the same guy from before? The Clear? If it was, why would the Guardian of the Clear be messing with me like this? He was more of a, he was a protector, guardian. He didn't exactly disrupt anything. Um, Now he's got this feeling that someone's around him. Some omnidirectional being that's messing with him, and Loomer is starting to get a little spooked out at this point. I think he's getting a little concerned. He's in a room with grass, disappeared, turned white. Now it's solid gravel on the ground. Well, I shouldn't say gravel. It's basically just dirt on the ground. There's no grass. He's looking down at the ground, and while he's looking at the ground, does he see anything? See, oh wow, he does. 17 yes, 13 no. So he sees something fairly significant on the ground, and what he sees is gravestones. He stumbles upon a moderately sized room of gravestones. There are possibly, let's see, is there a lot of gravestones? Not a lot. 10 no, 7 yes. There's probably, let's say there's two gravestones, and they're side by side. They're right in the middle, kind of facing long ways, and they pop up. While he's looking down, the gravestones rise from the ground, and so does the basically mark of a grave dug. So there's a pile of dirt that's long ways enough to put a body in. So you can connect the dots. That's obviously what he's looking at, and so he sees two graves that are buried and covered in dirt, and he's a little freaked out now. But he's not frightened, or he's freaked out, but he's not scared off his ass. He's just freaked out. But seeing this, he's also curious. These graves just appeared. So what he witnessed was life to death. And the room he was just in, the room to clear, granted life. This room he's in, from our storytelling point, causes death. And the first room he observed was the process of dying, the blood. But again, Loomer never investigated that room thoroughly. Like, he avoided, if I recall correctly, he avoided the room altogether. Um, so he probably would have uncovered something in that room. But now he's witnessing death. And because two gravestones appeared, he walks up to the gravestones. And are the great, let's now roll, let's change it up. Let's go to the original, highly likely, least likely rolling where it's plus two, plus four, plus six. I believe it was a one, two. Let me see if I pulled it up. Okay, now we got this back. I wanted to change styles of the yes no outcome because to be honest, I kind of missed this method. It's more unique and actually helps with the solo play. So we're abandoning the two die rolls, and we're going to go by this just to change things up. So he walks up to the gravestones, and let's see if can he decipher the gravestones? Can he read the actual gravestones that are basically is the condition of the gravestones legible? Let's say highly likely it is, because they're magical. If they are and they appear in front of him, they want him to see it. So plus four on the roll. It's a three plus that's seven. That's a very, very weak maybe. He can barely make out what it says. He's trying to take off the dirt and the roots that's covering up the gravestones, and he's trying to make out what it says. He can only see a few letters of the first one, so he tries the other one. He walks over to the other gravestone, the one of the second of the two, and can he make out that one? Let's say highly likely, plus four. He can't. I rolled a one. That's five. He can't. Same thing. It's just covered, and the lettering is just terribly. It's very the gravestone's damaged, cracked, and the letters are very they're not legible. So he tries to wipe it off, but he can't. No luck. So he stands back up and he takes a step back and he's really confused right now. Uh, while he's confused, let's roll to see if anything happens. Let's just keep it moderate possible. Solid 20. Critical 20. So something does indeed happen. A new spirit appears right in front of him, behind the gravestones. This other spirit appears, and he's standing in front of the gravestones. This new spirit appears behind him. A transparent deity appears. So the first one was the guardian of the clear. Let me get the document ready. This next one appears, and because this the spirit appears familiar to the guardian, Loomer's kind of understand what's going on here. Loomer waits for the spirit to speak, but he's not surprised to see it. He looks up, he acknowledges that it's there, but he's not surprised. Does the spirit say anything to Loomer without acknowledgement, or without Loomer speaking to it? Let's say likely. 8, 10. Okay, so it it doesn't speak, but the spirit does look at Loomer and basically sees that the graves have been summoned, and the spirit somewhat just stays floats there. Doesn't really do much, but he does acknowledge that Loomer is a person of interest when it comes to the situation. So Loomer is going to naturally greet the spirit. Loomer will basically say, another one, or another one of you. And the spirit starts to speak, and he says that you have awakened my grave. Who are you? So you have awakened me from death. Who are thee? That's more appropriate for the times. Loomer introduces himself, says that he is seeking truth. He mentions Guardian of the Clear, and because of that, this new entity acknowledges that Guardian of the Clear is a keyword of interest for the spirit, and so he introduced himself. He is the light of death. This is the second spirit. So let me just clarify here. We have the first one, first spirit, and now the second spirit that appeared in the green room was second spirit. The light of death. We'll do that. The light of death doesn't reveal. Let's roll to see if the light of death reveals any more details to Loomer. He does. Roll to 17, even without a modifier. The light of death mentions that he's there to guard, protect the two graves that Loomer stumbled on. And Loomer tells the spirit, who are? Who do these two graves belong to? Does the light of death reveal who these two are? Let's roll for it. Let's say highly unlikely. 4. Yeah, he doesn't. So he doesn't reveal any details. He basically remains silent, floating there. And Loomer sees that he's not going to get any answers out of this spirit. Loomer looks back at the gravestones, and even though he couldn't make out the second one, he did see a name on the first one, partially, some letters. He has a thought. He looks to the spirit and says, "Did you know these two?" Does the spirit share any details? Sorry, I didn't do a modifier. Let's say highly unlikely. He remains consistent. 17 minus 4, look at that size. That's 13. So 16, 15, 14. Yeah, 13. That's a very weak. Yes, he basically just does this. He nods his head. He does. He knew these two. So he's kind of like a protector. Because there's a grave of two people, Loomer's starting to think that this is a couple, an old married couple, or they're connected. They're family, siblings. They're married, except whoever. He's trying to figure out who they are. But he asked the spirit, "Do these two have any significance to me?" Let's say unlikely that they. Well, no. Let's roll likely that they do. Does the spirit reveal any details that he is connected to these two in the graves? 14. So that's a 16. And so the spirit actually, because it was a higher yes, the spirit does say yes, they are connected to you. Okay. So Loomer's his interest is piqued. He's understanding that this is a very serious situation that's going on, and that whether this is an illusion or this is actually happening via magic, this is something connected to him. Now, while he learns that, does anything happen? Oh, sorry, I need a modifier. Let's say highly likely, does anything happen around Loomer, environmentally wise? 18. Yep, that's a +4, that's 22. So yeah, something suddenly happens. Upon discovering that these two gravestones are somehow related to Loomer, the spirit vanishes, just poofs into a cloud of smoke. The gravestones suddenly go back down to the ground. The room starts to shake, and a dark red aura appears, and the dirt starts to also shake with the ground. Hands, skeleton, like think Army of Darkness from Evil Dead 3. Hands of skeletons start to poke out of the graves. Like there's dozens of them. They start to pop up really cartoonishly, and they start to shake. and they're kind of pointing to Loomer, and Loomer's freaking out. Now he's truly freaking out. He's backing out of the room, and then when he backs out of the room, a door that wasn't there before closes in front of him, and now the shaking stops. The door closed. The shaking stopped. There's no sound. He he has goosebumps like I do right now. He has goosebumps. He is freaked out, even for an assassin. But he's so damn interested in what exactly that was. But he remembers, yeah, there's another room to go explore. So each one of these rooms reveals something about him. He turns around. Has anything changed from the fog and the blur? Let's say a certainty plus 6. Okay, 12, so that's 18. Something has changed. The vision clears. It's far more visible now to see the other entryway to the other room. Now, is that entryway still there? Let's say a certainty plus 6. I rolled 11. Yeah, okay, so 17. That doorway is still there. That's a good yes. We'll keep it at that. It's about the same. He feels like he's a tiny bit farther now for some reason. So naturally, he looks around just to see if anything's changed besides the his focal point on that door. Has anything changed around him when he was in this room? I guess around his peripheral. Let's say unlikely, or let's say likely. Plus 2, 4. Nothing's changed. That that there's the courtyard. There's no one around. There's ceiling still there. There's no dragons or goblins attacking him. It's just him in the courtyard. Now he decidedly, because there's nothing to do behind him, he walks across. He slowly walks across the courtyard up to the next, possibly final room of mystery. And let's go ahead and get the third. There's a third spirit in check. So he approaches this third, one, two, three, fourth room actually, because yeah, the blood room, the Deadpool, the clear, the green room. Now we have this fourth mystery room. He walks up to it. He stops. He's probably 10 feet away. It's 5 feet away. He's thinking about one tile away from the actual door entry. Does he see anything inside? Let's say I have an idea for this one. Let's say it's highly unlikely. Does he see anything? 15. So that's 11. He does see something inside, but it's very, very dark in the room. He barely sees any light emanating from the room itself, but it's coming from beneath the doorway. For some reason, there's almost like a shadow covering most of the door, besides that very crack in the ground. It's like the shadow is a door of sorts. It's just solid black, but there's some light peeking through the bottom, and he's somewhat confused. He thinks he can see like it's just darkness, but there's literally light peeking through. So he walks he walks a little closer. Does he does he feel anything as he's literally face to face with this darkness? Let's say highly likely. I rolled a 20. He does feel it. Because he's so close to the doorway, a critical 20, that's something's big has to happen. He suddenly gets grabbed by several hands. Like there's like shadowy figures suddenly grab him. They grab his arms, they grab his legs, they grab his head, and they just pull him in. And he gets pulled into the room. Loomer is now let's write this down. Loomer got pulled into into I'll just do it for you guys. Shadow realm. He got pulled into the shadow realm at this point. And that's where I'm going to leave this episode off because that is a perfect cliffhanger. So Loomer walks up to this fourth room. It's of shadows. He is pulled in, and it's a shadow realm. Just for now, we don't know what's behind that shadow. We don't know exactly what happened to Loomer, but he got pulled in. So that's it, guys. I hope this different approach of the theater of the mind approach is working. I feel like, in my opinion, it's a little better for me. I'm working. Again, I'm still working on my communication DMing skills here. Hope I'm able to paint the picture more. If I need to do more in the senses, like the environment, what's around them, the scent, the smell, the feeling, what's being heard, etc. But yeah, it's gonna be back, and I enjoyed this. I hope you guys did too. About 40 minutes of recording, so that's not bad. So yeah, till next time. Happy New Year's if I don't see you guys, but I hope to do a video tomorrow or after New Year's, essentially. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time on the 830 cast.